of the Gaming Fix podcast on November 7th, 2020. Just squeaking in on November 7th on my end because the clock's turned. Now it's 11:35 p.m. here in Japan. I'm your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite popsicle. I'm joined today by Allison.
My mom, every so often, my mom is like, do they still make the popsicles with 2 sticks? And so I think about that all the time because my mom is like, that's one of those, I don't know if you know that that's a thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's a thing that people used to do. And I don't know if they still make those, but,
Yeah. It seems like you just stop at the store, curiosity gets the best of you. You walk down that frozen food aisle, you walk out, just an abundance of popsicles.
I don't know if that's ever happened to me, but okay.
Speaking of an abundance of popsicles, joining us all the way from Canada, Alex.
Wow. The one I always used to go for as a kid, if we had Dickie D's, that was like the people who would pedal by on a bike that's full of popsicles and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, that is not a thing here.
Okay.
I mean like that, not where I live, but there are I am familiar with the idea of the ice cream bike.
Yeah.
Oh, I am not. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so we had that, and I always get the rocket, whatever it's called.
Oh, those are good.
Like the one that's red, white, and blue, I think, actually.
Oh,
I didn't think about the colors before, but it's those 3 colors, and it's the 3 different flavors. Oh, those were pretty great.
Those are good.
You don't get the misshapen Spider-Man.
Those are pretty good too, or the Sonic.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That's what we had.
Yeah.
I'm now a fan of the ones that are kind of more like actual frozen juice kind of ones that are not just kind of popsicles. Those are good right now. So I have a couple of those in my freezer actually, but
the real fruit ones, those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I looked it up. It's called a firecracker, not a rocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
pretty good.
Yeah, I like those real fruit ones. But why am I blanking on it? I feel like there's popsicles that are famous here.
Creamsicles?
No, I mean specifically Minnesota, but
Fudgesicle's pretty good.
Ice pop.
Those are pretty good, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of chocolate ice cream.
Okay, so those tubes of frozen fruit stuff? They're multicolored. You got red, blue, yellow,
the push pops.
What? Okay, that's what you call them?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've heard other Americans call them Otter Pops.
No, that's the the plastic bag. That's the frozen Kool-Aid.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the cylinder.
No.
There were a couple of summers, as a kid, where my mom would get a giant box of those, the biggest box of those frozen ones, and
the Otter
so I just eat them all summer. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is reminding me. So I was at my friend's house in high school. Or at his lake house, and it was it was their summer home, and they hadn't been there for the whole winter or whatever, and the fall, spring, and so we're coming back. It's their first time back, and so I'm helping clean up because it's we're gonna spend some time out here. I'll help clean up, and then I get to go on the lake and have fun in the boat and whatnot. And we just start finding Otter Pop wrappers everywhere upstairs, everywhere. Hidden under couch cushions, in drawers, under the carpet, under the couch, just absolutely everywhere. And it was my friend's little brother who was a year or 2 younger than us. It's just so he was middle school when he did this, and just Otter Pops everywhere.
I thought it was going to be a hit in my Otter Pop by mom type situation.
It was very silly. So we found 20 Otter Pop wrappers up there.
Yeah. By the way, in Canada, we call those freezies.
Okay.
I don't think I ever called them Otter Pops when I was a kid, so that might be what we called them.
Freeze Pop also is another more Midwest, I think, but I don't know for sure. We need Pat here, but Pat is resting before he takes up before he gets behind the yoke of a plane for Extra Life and flies all around the world for the kids.
Yep, he will have his
Yeah.
hands on throttle and stick. He'll be hotossing it up.
And on his HOTAS.
Yep.
But
Oh,
But yeah, check that out. It'll be really good. And hey, we're doing it for Pat's doing it for the for Extra Life, so that's always a good thing to support.
and if you happen to be watching this live, Super GG Radio is also currently, I think, like a little over halfway through their go for Extra Life. I think they just made it to $2,500. So
aren't they going to midnight? Or I don't even know.
thought
Like
I
they're
think
streaming.
it's-
I thought they're streaming midnight to midnight. I thought.
that I thought it was midnight central.
Yeah.
So they're like around halfway.
Well, yeah. Okay. Are they? I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know when they started. It could be. What is time this week?
Honestly,
you know?
time is weird, right?
Like I mean, yeah, this year, but like this week has been
The
hectic, chaotic.
Thursday night
Oh,
was
yeah.
the most like surreal night of my life, where you have like where there's obviously all the election stuff, and then there's all the rumors about Putin, and then there's all the supernatural nonsense, and I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, that was
No,
all
real
one night.
news
You're
here.
right.
Destiel is canon.
But Castiel immediately goes to hell because of it. So that's something.
Hey, it was
Anyways.
it was another reason to bring the Omegaverse back into the world.
Oh, God.
back up in normal conversation.
I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes of that show, but it's just like I feel like I know too much about it because of just cultural osmosis. It's not my favorite, but anyways, that was like wild though. That was wild.
All right.
Anywho.
Well, video games. Finally, we've made it to the part. We've made it through the part everyone likes about the podcast, where we talk about popsicles and whatever. And now we're going to subject people to our terrible video game opinions.
Yeah, what the podcast is really about.
Yep. Allison, what's your terrible opinion this week?
So since this week has been weird, to say the least, I'd say, and rough, I decided to get myself a new game, so that I could kind of like, have some level of escapism, have some level of kind of chilling out. And so I started playing the Atelier series. So I started playing Atelier Ryza on Switch, and guys, I think I'm getting into it. It's really good. I think
man.
it's really, really addicting. So if you,
I was just gonna ask, where in the Atelier series is this? Because I know like there's like a billion games.
yeah, this is the most recent one. So the thing about the Atelier series is that's nice, and I'm actually trying to recommend Sam to get into this with me. But the thing that's a little bit kind of nice, at least for me, is that while the Trails series seems to be all completely connected, these games aren't. There are certain sub-series that are connected, but kind of loosely.
Right.
But this is the most recent one, and it's the start of a new sub-series. And it's apparently kind of they're kind of hoping it's a new start for the series, although it seems like it's pretty much the same kind of game as the others, so I don't know what that necessarily entails. But yeah, this is the latest one. They're going to be making a Ryza 2 coming up soon, so I'll probably have to play that because this game is good. Although I'll have to say the one thing that I have an issue with is that these games are expensive because the season pass is $55, and I'm like, why are you doing this to me?
On a
okay,
$60
what is-
game?
Yeah.
What is in this season pass? Because season passes for these JRPGs can be a lot of costumes.
Yeah, and that's actually the good thing though, as I was looking at that. But every piece of DLC is separate, so it's like you can get like it does save you money if you buy it as a season pass. But I'm thinking I'm probably going to ignore all of the season, all the costume content, and just get the a couple of the story DLCs, and that should be a lot cheaper. But yeah, but it has a lot of those like, hey, here's costumes, or hey, here's like weapon skins for like a few dollars each. So those kind of add up. But yeah, so if you don't know about the Atelier series, basically the big draw of all of these is is that you're an alchemist, and the other big draw is that they're very kind of relatively chill. So I think some of the games in the Dusk sub-series get a little bit more like, hey, we have to save the world. But so far, I'm like 10 hours into Ryza, and so far the stakes are like, there might be a monster on the mainland way away from our village. That's something we might have to think about. And then also, but like, a big part of it was just like, we're going to build a clubhouse. So it's like very chill. But also it has that alchemy system, which is actually really, really fun. I've been really enjoying kind of playing around with it. So
what are you doing with the alchemy system? Like making potions, or
you make literally anything you want to. So basically it's like basically a souped up crafting system. I think from what I've heard, it's one of the first crafting systems in games, like I mean, not Ryza, but the original Atelier series. So basically the kind of loop that you go through is that you go out into the overworld and you collect materials, either from defeating enemies or from just kind of picking them up. There are different materials, different areas around the world. And then you go back to your atelier, and you have some recipes, and you throw in these ingredients and you make items. Like you can make literally anything. Like you can build like weapons or armor or more potions or stuff that you can sell, stuff that you can give to other people. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is that the game really encourages you to build them up, make things like bombs and medicine that you can use in battle. So it really wants you to be like using your items, which is unusual for me because I am definitely one of those people that plays RPGs and hoards every item, and then realizes that I get to the end of the game and you're like, so I have all of those still. But this game is pretty early on is like, no, you need to use them. But there's a couple of hand wavy reasons that you can reuse certain items, or basically get the effects of the item without actually using it up. But yeah, so it's like it's a really interesting system too, because there are a couple of books that teach you recipes, but most of the recipes you get are from modifying existing recipes. So you're kind of constantly going like, okay, I want to make this item, so I need to get these ingredients and then modify this existing recipe so that once I modify that recipe, I can more easily make this other thing. So you're kind of constantly kind of playing around with it. And then there's also the different quality of the ingredients that you put in can improve the quality of the items. There's different traits. It gets really, really complex. Like there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, I'm not going to even think about knowing how to do all of this stuff until kind of later on, because I'm still making all the items and mostly trying to make them stronger. So there's a lot of systems with the alchemy, but it's all pretty, I think pretty addicting. Like there'll be times where they're like, hey, go do this story thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to stand around in my atelier for a couple of in-game days and just make stuff for a while and keep doing that. So that's been fun.
Is there any sort of like equivalent exchange rule, or like can you like try and bring back your dead mom with some alchemy, and then
With
I
your
don't know,
brother.
like with your brother, and like or your sister, you know, who knows, and you like, I don't know, you have to like give up something, and then your brother gets stuck in like a suit of armor because his body is like destroyed, and you just attach his soul to like the first thing you can find. I don't know, anything like that.
How did you know that that was the plot of the game? No.
Any like dogs and like little girls that
God,
are just like
no.
best friends, and
No. I
Any,
hate
any,
I hate this.
any doting fathers who always carry on pictures of their adorable child.
you cannot pet the dog in Atelier Ryza, whatever one this is.
That's the one.
Whatever the subtitle. Isn't there a subtitle on it? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, there is. I didn't know that.
Because it's like Atelier Ryza is like the series, isn't it? And then there's like a subtitle.
Yeah.
so,
Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout.
I see.
Yeah.
So I was curious, and I looked at Wikipedia to see how many Atelier games there are. There's 22 in the main series, but if you include side games and remakes, what do you think it is?
44 total. There's exactly as many side games as there are main entries.
Allison?
38.
Nope. 69.
What? Oh,
Yes.
nice. Nice.
Yes. It's really nice.
I was gonna say that's like some Kingdom Hearts level bullshit, but then I remembered they're all main entries in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, no, this is like including ports and remakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the and that's one of the things that's nice about this series is that like the subs, like they have the sub series, but apparently like if you want to just jump into a game in the sub series, it's really not that horrible if you do. Like it's not going to be the end of the world if you jump into like the middle game of one of the sub series. You just might not necessarily get as much out of it, or you might not get some references, but otherwise they're mostly pretty separate. So like picking up Ryza on Switch, it's just like, yeah, this is technically the 21st game, mainline series game, but it is its own complete thing. So you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, do I have to go through several?
You don't have to worry about like 30 years of history of games, like some series that some members of our podcast are playing.
Yeah. There's a lot of to do about like which series should you start with, but I mean it really just kind of depends on what games that you want to put into.
They put out like a collection of like a remastered thing recently.
Yeah,
like three of them.
Yeah, they put out a remastered version of the Arlen series, which is was originally on PS3 but is now on PlayStation 4, and then the Dusk series that's was also on PS3. The one thing I'll say though, these are expensive. Also, the entire collection for both of those typically goes for $90.
That's some real Japanese ass pricing.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy them individually for $40 each, and then
what a bundle!
Right, so
you're losing money.
Best value.
So yeah, it's rough. I mean, they are JRPGs, so they tend to be longer, I think. But
yeah,
that I've been kind of vaguely interested in getting into the series for quite a while, and I've had them on my Switch wish list for like ever since they've come out, and they do not go on sale very frequently. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out going, for hopefully I can pick them up. But worst case scenario, I might just go and get them because I'm these games are just like really chill, but also the loop of collecting items, doing alchemy, fighting battles with your stuff that you've made in alchemy is fun.
What do you think the likelihood is that you're gonna fight God by the end?
I think extremely low. Like
You're going
honestly,
to craft God.
I
going
think
to make
extremely
God
low.
through alchemy.
Like that's the thing is that these like when I say they're chill, like they're very like
What is
lighthearted and fun.
What does God need with an
series.
alchemy bench?
Yeah, so I think that's unlikely, but I'll let you know if I fight God, because
you.
I've certainly done that a couple of times this year with JRPGs. So
Oh, okay.
Is there
no,
could,
it's just my real life.
Sure.
could God attempt an alchemical transaction so unequal even he couldn't exchange it? No?
Just leave that
That's
there.
nothing. So inequivalent that even God himself cannot exchange it. Okay. Well, that's Atelier Ryza, the Ever Darkness and the Secret something secret flower. But I don't.
In the secret hideout.
Secret hideout. There we go.
You build the hideout with alchemy because that's a thing you can do.
Is it a treehouse?
No, but
I saw Full Metal Alchemist. Edward Elric could make a hideout if he had enough metal.
It's pretty metal.
Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. We already did that one. That was like 2 weeks ago. God, 2 weeks. Oh, man.
what is time anyways?
We also asked that at the beginning of the podcast, I think. So
We certainly did.
what is a podcast?
It's still true.
May was 6 months ago. Andre's eyes are huge now.
I've been working in school since May, so it's actually not that weird. But
Fair enough.
yeah. How about you tell us, Alex, about the Sea Cats?
Sea Cats.
Everyone's favorite football team, the Sea Cats.
Is that a thing I should know?
Umineko.
Oh,
I'm gonna
duh.
go
Sorry.
sea cats. Yeah.
So the reason I question that is because Victoria has a sports team that's something similar to that, but I can't remember what it's called.
The
Harbor Cats.
Seagulls?
That's
Harbor
what it is.
Cats.
The
Wow.
Harbor
Okay.
Cats. So
But
that's
it's
what's
just
like.
like cats that hang around the harbor. Like,
So I think the Harbor Cats are actually otters. So
that I don't follow.
because they're kind of like cats and they hang out around the water and stuff because we have otters around here. So anyways, that's why I wasn't following immediately because I was like, wait, what, did you look something up about Victoria? Did you get some weird fact to just pull out of nowhere? No. When it comes to Umineko, I'm not going to talk about it very much right now because next week is the time I will talk about it.
Okay.
Given that I think I am roughly 5 hours from the very end. If How Long to Beat is anything to go by, and also with the pace it's been going at and the stuff, like the story stuff it's hit, it's definitely near the end. I will say it's really good. And the last chapter is really fascinating. Like, it's... The rest of the story, all 7 episodes or chapters, however you want to think of it before this, have been pretty heavy in the horror and mystery genre. And this last one is like, there's been almost no horror and like a little bit of mystery, but it's like all about catharsis. Like that's the whole point of it, is it like, it becomes way less fantastical and is more about like, how do you recover after something like that? Basically kind of stuff. And it's really interesting. Like it's
Okay.
they subvert the subversions all the time, and that one in particular has been really fascinating. So
Aftercare, I think is what they call that.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. But I haven't reached the very end, so I'm reserving my final opinions until that happens, which I'm probably going to finish either today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, which brings me to the next thing, the fact that I'm almost done this 120, 130 hour game, which has been taking up all of my time. And also I should note, I don't want it to end. I've reached that point with it where it's like, fuck, I'm closing in on the end, and but these characters kick so much ass, and it's so wonderful. I don't want it to end, but it will. So what game should take its place? What should fill that void?
Gears Pop.
Fuck. How did I not see
Ultimate
this coming?
irrelevance.
Really should have seen that coming.
Yep. No. I mean, I don't.
This is basically my veiled way of saying, what do you think we should be talking about for Game of the Year? Things that you guys, you all have really liked, that I should also touch.
As like, I mean, I feel like I have started a billion games and not finished very many of them. Like I started Neo 2. I didn't even come close to finishing that. I'm still plugging away at Wasteland, like halfway through that. Ori, I'm like at the beginning still, basically. So there's like so many things where I'm like, I've played a little bit of a lot of games and liked them, but I have just not had it in me to like buckle down and finish something.
That's the joy of Game Pass, is you have that game buffet where you can be like, oh, I'm going to try a taste of this one and this one. This one's good. Let's finish this one.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been just in general not doing a great job with regards to Game of the Year coming up later this year. So I in terms of Game of the Year type games, that's a tough question, to be honest.
Yeah, the one I tentatively have next in my queue is Spiritfarer. But
that seems like a very you kind of game,
Yeah.
to be honest. And that's one that I'm really interested in playing. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
yeah, it seems interesting from the conversations I've seen around it. But
I put a little, I haven't really talked about it, but I've put a little bit of time into Carry On. Did you put any time into that?
Right.
I don't know if
I beat it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty close to the end on that.
It's fine.
And it's pretty good. I don't know if it'll necessarily be, I don't know if that's
forgot about
Alex
it.
would necessarily like. the I think I remember you guys talking about it on the podcast and mentioning that you wanted a map. And I was like, okay, I don't know. And then I'm playing it and I'm like, no, I want a map in this game.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but eventually it didn't become an issue, but it is weird to not have a map.
Yeah, in kind of a Metroidvania.
how about Kukiyomi?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Kukiyomi 2, is that eligible this year?
Shit, if that's eligible, it is going to be on my list because it is a weird ass game. I don't know. It you can usually get it for like it's not too expensive.
September 29th, 2020.
It was that recent?
Yeah.
Fuck. But it feels like I played that like a million years ago.
Kukiyomi Consider It hit Steam March 29th, 2020.
But
What?
Kukiyomi 2 on phones, what was...
Allison
Anyways.
looks like she's going to break.
It feels like I played this like several months ago.
March
But
was several
anyways-
months ago.
God, I guess I'd say yeah, because you can get that game for pretty dang cheap. And it's
Kukiyomi 2 came out in 2017.
Oh, okay. So just the localization, the North American
Yeah.
English one is this year?
I guess.
which we still count, right?
Android does. Yes, that is true. Android does not have the localized version. I can only see the Japanese version.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I those games are weird as fuck, but I liked doing them, so I liked playing through them. So
So I know we talked about this in the chat a little bit, Allison. Eichenfell, have you come around on that, or are you
I haven't
still
gotten
not?
back. I need to like give it a little bit more time, but at this point, I would still say no.
I mean, it's
Or maybe,
'cause
or
it's-
maybe, or maybe
its
Alex would.
its description sounds like a thing you would enjoy to a T. A
Exactly.
turn-based tactical RPG about a group of troublesome magic students.
Yes.
Right.
Like that's
Yes.
everything Allison.
Yes,
I think
and then it's
I-
like timing mechanics too, and you're just like, like everything about it sounds like it's an Allison game, and it's annoying that I didn't really get that much into it, but it's something that I feel like I need to put more time into before the end of the year. But it's also not very expensive, and I think other people seem to like it pretty well. So it's something something to get to give a shot. The one that I want to play before the end of the year is the one. Have you seen that game that's like Paper Mario, but you play as bugs?
Like Bugs Bunny?
No, like insects.
No, I have not.
Let me see if I can find it.
But
Mario.
Andre, I have 2 games to ask you about to see if they're worth
Yes.
touching. One
Bug
is
Fables.
Bug Fables. No, I've not heard of this.
Yeah, it's apparently the devs were really very much inspired by Paper Mario, like the early 2 Paper Marios, which
July 6th,
are-
2019. Sorry, Bug Fables. Not eligible. But I'll still give it a look. I haven't heard of this
Oh
one.
god damn it! I thought it was released this year. No.
It looks adorable, though. You're right.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
like-
I'm gonna have to
you
play it sooner or later.
You play as a bee, like with a fluffy
Buck
fluffy
Bumble?
jacket. Yeah, it's basically Buck Bumble meets Paper Mario. Sounds like perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so Andre,
what
my
are these
2 for you.
games?
Resident Evil 3. Yes or no? Is that worth playing?
If you can get it cheap, it's like if you liked Resident Evil 2, it's fine. It's not like amazing. It's not as groundbreaking, or like I wouldn't even say 2 is groundbreaking. Just 2 is so good, and I think 3 misses out on a lot of that. But it's like solid. It's just not worth the price because the multiplayer I don't think is that good. It's not worth $60. It's like a $30 at most, probably less, because it's pretty short.
Okay. All right.
It would
and
be
the-
nice to have somebody else on the podcast advocate for Origami King, but I don't think that'll happen.
I've been thinking about trying it, but we'll see. So Andre, the last one I'll ask you about is Umurangi Generation.
I did not touch it. That's a Pat game.
You're right, it is, but I thought you did too.
I have not. I've
that's
heard
one I'd
great
like to
things
try.
about it. I just have not touched it. What, Allison? What about was Sludge Life?
Sludge Life, yeah.
That I would recommend. Can you still get it for free on the Epic Store?
I think so.
I think it's free for like a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that I'll necessarily advocate for with like regards to game of the year, but it is a weird ass game, and it's a fun time to play through, especially since it it's still free. Sale ends May 28th to 2021. So
Oh my God.
it's been Devolver was like, hey, it's going to be free for a year. So
That's awesome.
yeah, no, it's a weird game, and if you can get it for free, then there are a couple of like really surreal moments where I was playing it and going like, excuse me, what is this game? So
Wonderful.
Yeah. There's like, I get off. Let's see.
Gross.
I've got like one. I've got like one more month of work left, and then I'm on vacation for the holidays, and like I'm gonna just try and burn through a bunch of stuff. Then Ori, if I'm not finished with Wasteland by then finish that. Neo 2, get back to it. Probably play Spider-Man in there. Bug Snacks.
I'm going to be
Like-
playing that Bug Snacks before the end of the year.
We're coming up on Bug Snacks real fast.
I'm so excited.
Time to bug snacks. What is
T
that? like
minus.
a week?
It's like a week. Yeah, it's the
a little
12th
less? Yeah, it's a little less than a week. That's Thursday, right?
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get that on PS4 because I can't get a PlayStation 5 right now.
I am pissed because I have, this is kind of jumping ahead, but apparently so PS5, they're not doing they're like, oh, there's not going to be available in stores. Apparently, they put some more up on Amazon in Japan for pre-order, and I have like the thing like notify me when something comes up for pre-order, and they didn't notify me.
Oh, that sucks.
Unforgivable.
Yep. The notification.
Unforgivable.
So this is also getting ahead of ourselves because talking about news. Finding any kind of product launches for technology in 2020 has been a fucking
Oh my
nightmare.
god! Yeah.
Because I tried getting one of the new Ryzen CPUs to finish my computer build. Oof, we'll get there, but 2020 sucks for product launches and signing up for auto notifications, which never go out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
So
it
I'm
is-
kind of just resigning myself to like, all right, these first couple of games, Bug Snacks and Miles Morales, I'm going to be playing on my PlayStation 4. But
Yeah. But I hope, Spider-Man was good. Hopefully there's nothing like too I was looking at some performance numbers. They seem iffy with the PS4 Pro, so we'll see how it
we'll see how it runs on my base PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
it's not a control situation where it like becomes
Yeah.
unplayable.
That would be unforgivable.
The original Spider-Man ran like beautifully on my original PlayStation 4. So hopefully.
Well,
hopefully-
they changed his face, and that just really
Oh yeah, that'll
Tank-
fuck it up. It's
Tanks
like
the performance.
You need so many resources to be able to render that face.
to render that beautiful, elasticy 23-year-old skin.
God, that nobody asked for.
Adam Jensen, I didn't ask for this.
Yep.
Like I guess that'll be a thing to look out for when Miles Morales comes out. I'll let everybody know how it runs on my base PS4.
Yeah.
God,
So-
I just don't even want to be on the podcast from like next week on because I was be sad that I don't have a PS5.
How much hope would you say you have about finding a PS5? Like a
But
lot,
none.
maybe a little.
None.
little hope,
I
maybe?
could say maybe a little hope that I could find this super massive console, like little Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope by Supermassive Games.
We got there in the end.
one
We
had
got there.
That one had layers. Whoa, Allison sounds really far away, like a
Oh.
tiny girl running through the fog
Oh God.
in a spooky town. No, but actually, you sounded like really far away when you were laughing, and that
It
was
great.
weird.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It worked out.
It sounded like a spooky laugh that a little girl might make when she is following you through a spooky, dark town.
Yeah, it's like you take a picture and it's really dark, and then she's in that.
Yeah, no, there's like some fog, and you can't get out of the town.
In an anthology.
Yeah, an ant-hology. That's nothing.
That's how.
I don't know.
It would be really good if hology was a word.
It
but
would be.
It's an ants in a hall.
Oh,
gee.
OG.
So
Okay. You liked Man of Medan, right?
It was fine. It's not. They have not made a thing that lives up to Until Dawn. So this is Supermassive, creators of Until Dawn, have been making an anthology series of horror games. I believe there are going to be 4 of them. This is the second one. Last year, I played Man of Medan. That came out in like August. And Little Hope came out this year, just before Halloween. And each one, they're totally disconnected. They're not related to each other in any way, except they're basically the same mechanically, which is you're basically not point and click adventure, but you're basically playing a movie in some ways. You're walking through like linear areas, pretty linear in these like the anthology games. Until Dawn was much more expansive and longer and had like much more branching stuff. So these are much more limited experiences, like 4 or 5 hours.
Right. So are they kind of quick time heavy, much like a Heavy Rain?
Yeah, Heavy Rain is pretty close. So you're kind of wandering through areas. You're picking up like newspapers, pictures, items that you find, and
Do,
getting
is there,
stuff.
is there a button prompt to yell Jason?
No,
Every game should have that.
Jason.
there's Jason.
Jason.
It's it's the same kind of mechanics they've been doing since Until Dawn, which is you're
Yeah.
hiding, and you've got to do like some quick time events to hide from the monster, or to like climb up a thing or climb down without scraping yourself. But there's no fail state at any point. Like fail state is someone dies, but the story continues on because you're jumping between the perspective of like 5 or 6 characters, and each character could die at like there are certain points where people can die.
You can get
And
monked.
You can get monked,
Yeah.
and then that character will be out of the story, and the rest will continue on. And maybe that means because that character isn't there, they would have saved someone else, so maybe that character is going to die later on. I actually made it through Little Hope without anyone dying, which I think is the
Nice.
first time I made it through one of these, like my first try without anyone dying, which was pretty neat.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, go me. But and I think it's actually stronger than Man of Medan was. Maybe because I was kind of expecting, or I knew what to expect coming into this one. My expectations weren't as high as they were going into Man of Medan, just because of like Until Dawn is probably my favorite horror game and one of my favorite games of this generation and like ever, period. Just because the way it so cleverly plays with horror tropes and like that experience, and delivers it in a really great package that like understands when it should be campy and when to actually try to be scary, and lets you, because there's no fail state, it doesn't feel like bad when something bad happens. You're like, oh, I have to replay that thing and like deal with either being scared, or it's not even scary anymore. It just like, whatever is going to happen. And we talked about this a little bit with Amnesia Rebirth, where by taking the fail state out of a horror game, it can like flourish and succeed and just focus on giving you the story and delivering the scares without slowing down the pace.
Sure. Yeah, because you're right, because horror is best when you experience it the first time, because you don't
Yeah.
know what to expect. But the second you die and experience the exact same like scenario
Yeah.
again, it becomes significantly less.
Yeah.
Right. I experienced that when I was playing that game, Little Nightmares, where there's
sure.
a couple sections where I could not get through it for whatever reason. I was just like messing up, but like only the first time you get through it is scary.
Yeah, like you start seeing the mechanics after that.
Right.
Yeah.
You start seeing I've seen the fail state enough times that it does not shock me, or it doesn't,
Yeah.
it
And that's
doesn't
why
affect me.
That's why I love watching speedrunners go through like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, is just because it's so funny watching like these very scary moments just be totally like, run
Resident
around
Evil 7
and like manipulated.
speedruns are great. But yeah, I like those too, because it's just like people who are just like completely going, nope, I don't, doesn't affect me one bit.
Yep.
Completely numb to it.
Yeah.
Just going through
It's
Alien
great.
Isolation, being like, yeah, whatever, just whatever,
yep.
dude's on fire, it's fine.
Yeah. And speaking of Silent Hill, this game has intense Silent Hill vibes.
I've seen a couple of the playthroughs, and it get like the atmosphere feels extremely Silent Hill.
The atmosphere, the setting, kind of like everything about this game is very Silent Hill. Like everything about this game except the way you play it, just because it's like mostly any action takes place in the cutscenes, which is fine. And like there's challenge to it, because it's not just like straight, oh, push A, push B, push triangle, or push Y. It's like, oh, this one I have to like actually try and like throw a thing or like kick a thing, so I have to line up the reticle and get it in time, stuff like that. So it works. I think that when it Until Dawn, again going back to Until Dawn, it was so good because it was PS4 exclusive. They like really used the DualSense for like certain things, or not the DualSense, the DualShock.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, that'd be pretty
the
cool if we got
DualShock
ahead of the
4.
curve.
Yeah, man, if Supermassive made one of these games with like the DualSense in mind and used all those features, that would probably be really good, because they did cool stuff like you used the motion control and you had to like hold really still to like not get like caught at a point or at certain points. So that was like a neat thing. And then, you know, using the touch bar for just like to flip through like pages of stuff was not necessary, but it was, you know, a neat gimmick. But yeah, I'd say Little Hope, if you're interested in the Dark Picture stuff, I'd say Little Hope is probably the better one to look at first, just because. But maybe Man of Dawn is the first one is better one to look at first, because like,
Well,
it's not as good. I don't know.
do they have similar tone? Like, is it a Haunting of Hill House versus Haunting of Bly Manor type situation where they are completely different?
They're different.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very different. One is Little Hope is a little more psychological, and whereas Man of Dawn is like ghost, like kind of like we're in a scary ship, whereas Scary Ship versus Scary Town, like, you know, that kind of vibe.
Sure.
And there's pirates. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a whole thing. There's like Salem witch trial stuff going on in Little Hope. That's like one of the things that's driving the story.
Is it set in New England?
Yes, it's somewhere in the Northeast, but it's not in Salem, but it's like witch trials going on. And that's a big driving point of the story. So yeah, I would recommend Little Hope pretty strongly to anyone who's interested in horror games and willing to put up with like a more cinematic horror experience from a game, as opposed to like a Resident Evil like action-y horror type. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow, we're done with games already? Wow. It's so quick. We're not even an hour in.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Let's just stretch this next part out for about 2.5 hours, and we'll be good.
I mean, I can tell you about the games I returned on Steam this week. not because they're bad, just they were too much for me. But yeah, Caves of Cud. Oh my God, that game! Holy shit. Yeah, I'll talk about Caves of Cud real quick. It's a roguelike. It like in so many ways, it is a roguelike. You are
It's kind of like Dwarf Fortressy almost, isn't it?
yeah. It's got like very simple like ASCII, like not ASCII, but like that type of like very simple like old computer art. Like very simple colors and images on screen, and it just kind of puts you in and is like, here's a bunch of proper nouns and shit, and do you want to roll a character or do you want to like make your own character? And I was like, roll me a character. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then, you know, get into this village, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to talk to this guy. Okay, he says something about I got to go to the northwest, I guess. I don't know. And talk to this guy. Okay, there's someone to the north. And I go north. And then I'm dead in like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes, like 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, restart. Do that again. Dead in 30 seconds. And like, it was, it was really brutal. People say it's got like a really good story going for it. I have no idea myself. Absolutely zero. I could not even begin. It's a very dense game with like, you know, character sheets and a bunch of abilities. Like there's like a burrowing claws ability where you can just like dig through walls and like, you know, so that seems like it'd be pretty good. But I just went, you know what? This seems cool for people who want to put a lot of time into this. This is not, I don't have the patience or the capacity to learn this game. It's in early access. It's like 15 bucks in early access. Everyone who likes it seems to really like it, and their community is they're doing a lot of work to make sure their community doesn't suck. I started following their community manager on Twitter because I was seeing him talk about like when the game started blowing up. Yeah, because it's been in early access for a few years now, and it just recently like shot to the top of the charts for some reason. Apparently, they have started having like conversations with everyone who joins the Discord to make sure they're not shitty people.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah,
It's
so they
almost
like
a vetting process.
yeah, they're like vetting like all the people. They have like substantial conversations with people before they're like, okay, you're chill. Is
good.
my understanding from following the community manager on Twitter. Yeah, so Caves of Cud on Steam, really intense roguelike with a lot of like story and lore and abilities and all sorts of stuff that there's like they have a lot in there. It seems like a very fully featured thing already. I'm not sure how much more they have to go, but I imagine it's probably close to done since it's like blowing up so much, but maybe I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That I don't know why that reminds me, but do either of you have the desire to play Rogue, which is now on Steam and is classified as a roguelike?
That is very funny. They should have made a new tag that just said Rogue.
They should have. That'd be.
Could only be applied to Rogue.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing. Does that not particularly, but maybe as like a curiosity. Just to,
Yeah,
like, a history.
it'd be interesting, I think, to look at, but at the same time, I don't know if I necessarily need to put a lot of time into it. But it's interesting, and it's very funny that it's on there as a roguelike.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what it is.
It's
like
It is.
that.
It is very
Yeah,
much like
it's-
that. Like, almost 100% like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot because I saw it come up and then I was like, oh, like Frog Fractions 2 makes so much more sense now
Right. Totally.
because like Frog Fractions 2 is just like we're doing Rogue now. Like, oh, okay.
Straight up.
Yeah, I had no idea when I played that earlier this year.
Yeah. But this year's been really interesting, back to Caves of Cud, for games that came out a long time ago and then suddenly got really popular.
Yeah,
Like between this and Among
Yeah.
Us. Like,
I have no idea why Caves of Cud blew up, but yeah.
you don't know where like the
I'm
fuse
not
was lit.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure like how like what caused it to just blow up like that because it's early access. It's a very tough, intense game, and it was like top seller in like that category for a while. It's number 4 on Steam in the roguelike, like underneath Hades, Risk of Rain, Binding of Isaac Rebirth, but it was above all of that stuff for a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, good for them.
That is really interesting, though.
I'm glad it's working out for them, and I'm glad there's like games like that for people.
Totally.
But it was just like I gave it a shot and I went, oh no, this is not for me. Yeah. And that's okay because hey, Steam lets you refund games. But now we can get into the news. There's a lot of it this
Yay.
week.
Yeah, there is a lot of
Seems
it.
like there's a lot. Maybe we don't need to talk too much about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot, but
There's some of it.
Some of
Yeah.
them we can skim over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first big thing this week. Well, Extra Life, we talked about at the top of the show. Extra Life is happening all across the gaming industry. People are streaming for children's hospitals. It's all for children's hospitals.
Yeah.
So go find your favorite streamer or find your favorite Gaming Fix podcast co-host, Pat Cotter, on Twitch on this very channel. Twitch/Gaming Fix podcast. What is it, Alex?
Fix podcasts.
Fix podcasts on Twitch, where you can watch Pat fly around the world in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and probably also will play some like Jackbox maybe, or some
Yeah,
Among Us
yeah.
or something.
Something
in
like
there.
that. Yeah, and the thing that he's doing is he's visiting airports near all of us, all of the fixed people. So that'll be kind of fun to see, where we're all at and
He's simulating the flight.
simulating that. Yeah.
With is stimulating the flight. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
Stimulating your Twitch stream with some scintillating scintillations.
Okay.
The PS5 and Xbox Series reviews have hit this week.
What are we
Whatever
going to
that
call?
means.
What are we going to call that? Are we just going to call it
The
the
Xbox.
Xbox? Okay.
I mean, well, if any of us ever get one, then we'll refer to it as the console that they have. But in the meantime, it's just the Xbox.
Okay.
Because they all currently all the games play on all the Xboxes. So
Yeah. And calling it the series is so weird.
yeah,
That is very weird. I don't think I'd ever do that, but
I mean, it's accurate, but it's weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's not wrong. It's just very weird.
it's an annoying name. It's an annoying name. So yeah, the reviews hit. People say, hey, these consoles sure do play the old games well, but they
Yeah,
can't really talk
there's-
about the new games. So
Right.
like, what good is a console review without the games?
That's
What
a very
good?
good question.
Is a console review without the games?
I think there's value to it though, because the UI matters, the user
Yeah.
UI and UX, user experience, user interface, they both matter.
Sure.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a lot more stuff like what the deal is with the DualSense and everything, and
It's just like, I mean, that stuff is all valuable, but like calling it a review seems very silly, and putting a number on it is very silly. Just from
that's true. Giving it a number does seem kind of arbitrary, especially because it's going to change
yeah,
within a
And-
year probably.
oh yeah,
definitely.
I mean that's kind of the name of the game right now, especially since a lot of these places are like, well, we need to have a review out of the PlayStation 5, but none of the games are necessarily exclusive yet.
Well, and we can't talk about any of the games yet because they're all embargoed. So
Right.
here's a review that doesn't mention it. Mentions Spider-Man, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which people seem to really like, which is nice that everyone seems very into Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
One Jeff Gersman has been quoted as saying the story was lovely.
Yeah,
which
that-
I was surprised to see, because I believe he was not super into the first Spider-Man game. Like, he didn't hate it, but it just wasn't his jam. So
Yeah, so that was one of those tweets where I was like, all right, I'm hype about Miles Morales, but
another thing that people seem very positive on is the DualSense controller.
yeah, everybody keeps talking about Astro's Playroom, which is the follow-up, which is
The first level of Astro's Playroom.
yeah, but that it feels that it really shows off the DualSense.
And it's
Yes.
funny because I feel like when we watched the PlayStation 5 event, Astro's Playroom is the kind of the thing we all kind of laughed at. We are like, oh, that looks like garbage. Or like that and like the Sackboy game. It was kind of dismissive towards them. But now everyone's like very
Now people
hot
are
on
like, no,
Astro.
it's legitimately pretty good. But it's like,
Yeah.
but it's also really just it's also really showing off the DualSense.
Yeah.
It's almost a tech demo in that sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it's there to say, hey, look at all this cool shit we can do. Not like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
much like how Knack was there to show off the particle system. Like that was the
how
genesis
many
of
rubber
this
ducks
game,
they could fit inside Knack. So
essentially. And this is, hey, we made a game that made that DualSense make sense, and it kicks some big booty.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
one thing that also came out is that when you're using every single feature of the DualSense, the battery life is not great.
Oh my god, yeah.
supposedly maybe 2 hours while playing Astro's Playroom, like that.
Right. But it's
It
like,
is crazy.
yeah, but apparently it's only for games that are like Astro's Playroom, where it's very intensive. Like playing a normal game, it seems pretty comparable to the DualShock 4, but Still, it's like
that's
2
like-
hours is wild, I feel like.
Like that, and that's only going to go down. Like the
Yeah.
longer that battery lives, like its life cycle is going to go down. So
How can we make like an iPhone last like 7 hours, but a game controller can't last more than 2 hours? Like I know they're doing different stuff, but like
if your game controller lasts for more than 2 hours, consult your doctor.
yeah. Well, so yeah, the people like these new consoles. They play the old games pretty
well.
Yeah, which is weird that people are focusing. Well, I mean, it's not that weird actually. That's all they can really talk about. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's such a like a limited launch library for all of these anyways. So
yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to play on the Series X and Series S, really. So, there's like some newer stuff, but a lot of it is just going to be the older games or cross-gen stuff. So,
Yeah, like you've got
or like
Assassin's Creed
deluxe
Valhalla.
versions, or
Like Valhalla is
Yeah.
really the only super new thing. Well, it's among
Yakuza.
Yakuza and Valhalla.
God, Yakuza's coming out next week. Fuck.
Oh, that's right.
Do you know? I asked this in our chat, and I never found out. Is it coming to PC Game Pass? Because I would totally play
I
it on.
don't know. I've
Yeah,
tried to find out, but
Yeah, I've
I
tried
want
too.
it.
I've Googled and I.
I'm
not
going
find
to play
anything
it
about
no
it.
matter what, but yeah, I'm unsure. But
Yeah,
well,
it looks great.
yes, there's like a Mario Kart mini game in it.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Where you actually drive the carts and you have like weapons that you use. I don't
Oh
know
my
how
God.
it plays, but
That
I
sounds so
mean-
good.
Yakuza does well with those mini games. So
there's like a Pokedex for the baddies.
Oh man.
God.
Yeah, and like
now
so,
you're like, no, like, do I need to just buy Yakuza?
so
Probably.
it's so yeah, I was listening to the Beastcast and they were explaining it, and this has also been in like the pre-release coverage. Is so Ichiban, the protagonist, is a big Dragon Quest fan,
Yeah. And
which is
also,
why
he's also a cup noodle.
yeah. So he's a big Dragon Quest fan, which is why the game is now turn-based for the combat, is because he sees everything as like a JRPG.
That's great.
And so he
that
starts seeing
explains
the enemies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he
That's
starts
fun.
seeing the enemies as like archetypes, which is why there's the Pokedex, or like like the bestiary or whatever, where everyone's just like, oh, this is like this kind of this is a steamed punk.
At this time of year? Localized entirely
And this-
within whatever city this is set in.
Yokohama.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be. I'm so excited for that game. That's gonna be.
It seems great. They released
Yeah.
a couple of the karaoke tracks.
Spakami
Oh, fuck
in
yeah.
I know, but it's good.
there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, one more piece of PS5 news.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, when they did the teardown of the PS5, I asked y'all, what do you think the chances are of someone selling side plates for the PS5, like custom 3D printed side plates, and what would you want on them? And someone else had a similar idea and made PlateStation5.com.
Which is a great
They
name.
probably listened to this podcast. Hey, listener, did you make PlateStation5.com? Were you approached by Sony's lawyers and who said, "Hey, cut it out. That's ours." So yeah, these people were trying to sell custom side panels for the PS5, and they made PlateStation.com, and Sony was like, "I don't think so.
That's not acceptable. no.
Absolutely not." So they went, okay, customize my plates.com, and Sony went, no, the plates are ours too. But this website, the idea was you get custom colors for your PS5 for like the white bits, so you could have like a blue PS5 or a red PS5, black PS5, whatever you want. And that sucks, because I don't expect Sony to actually sell like plates or like side panels. They're just not going to do it. But
Yeah, probably not. I mean, maybe they're seeing that there's a demand for it, but I don't know if they would.
I feel like that would be, you got to like come out with that. I guess you don't have to come out with that to start, but I feel like that would be like, hey, if you don't want the white, we've got the black, or we got the blue, or the red, or we got Han Solo frozen in carbonite.
If it was at least a bullet point on some sheet somewhere where they were like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, sorry, breaking news.
Oh.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming 2021 for consoles and PC, confirmed just now.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, if the side plates were some bullet point somewhere where they've pointed to and be like, yes, we intend to do something with these, then I would be like, okay, yeah, there's a point there. But now that like the fact that they're just kind of coming out and being like, no, you can't do that. That's shitty. Like that comes across. I have not felt warm fuzzies about Sony's management for a long time, and this just kind of continues to make me feel that way.
It just feels like, I don't know. I mean, I can understand if they were just like at plate station maybe, but like when it's like,
yeah, sure, that I can be like, yeah,
like you're like, it's a little bit weird, but you kind of get it. Whereas then you, but when you start, I don't know, let people mod their systems, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna be like people sending, like, you know, like gray market people just sending, hey, will you print out this like 3D model for me, and then get it shipped to them, and then they
or there'll be like people selling them on like eBay or Etsy, or you know.
Totally, yeah.
Inevitably,
Etsy is a great point. Yeah, like
yeah,
if it's going to exist anywhere.
And then they'll say like side plates for current gen console, and it's like, or something like that. Like there's a lot of content on places like Etsy that are like skirting copyright law.
Infringement.
Yeah, where they're just like, oh, it's just inspired by it, and it's like, you know, it's gonna happen one way or another. So
yep.
But showing that you're like, nah, I'm gonna shut this down, kind of makes it feel like, I don't know.
You can't compromise Mark Cerny's vision.
He needs those ears.
So they've been, apparently, I can't figure out how to do it, but there is like, Sony has been doing that, like ear stuff for a while. Like, cause they've got like a 360 audio thing, and like that's true. You're supposed to do it with, but it doesn't let me take pictures of my ears.
I just love the
and
statement.
It only works with like 3 like apps. Like it works with like Tidal, D's, and Nugs or something.
Deezer?
I don't know. Deezer.
Is Deezer a Sony thing? I didn't think so.
No, it's just, no, it's not a Sony thing, but it's just they're like one of the people who have partnered with Sony to do 360 audio stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I can't figure out how to take pictures of my ears because it's not in the app, so I don't.
Well,
I don't know.
Better to start taking super high fidelity pictures of your ears just to have them in your back pocket.
Just in case.
Yeah.
In case I run into Mark Cerny. So here, can you commit this to memory?
Put them on Snap. Put them on Snapchat. No, put them on Instagram, because even if you delete them, they'll still be there.
This is OnlyFans.
Oh, jeez. An OnlyFans for Andre's ears.
If you'd like an OnlyFans for my ears, send an email to gaming@fix.space.
Oh God, am I gonna have to register an OnlyFans account for our podcast so no one else steals it?
You know, if someone wants that, go for it. But if you start making money, believe us, we'll get you.
Okay.
Okay. Next news story. That one went off the rails. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster got a big update with a bunch of new challenges, the ability to replay tours with individual skaters, and a bunch of Crash Bandicoot gear. What? Okay, yeah. Sure. Is like Crash Bandicoot in the game, or is it just like I can wear like an orange shirt?
I think it's stuff like you can get. I haven't looked actually at the stuff, but from what I've seen, it looks like decks with Crash on it, and some attire and stuff, things of that nature.
Okay,
that game's good,
I guess.
So it's a good excuse to get back to it.
It's nice that they like went, oh yeah, people want to replay this game with different skaters and stuff, so that makes sense.
Yeah, because that was
weird that it wasn't in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it is one of the things that was a little strange about the initial release, that you couldn't like replay stuff and have it reset. All progress was permanent, basically.
Next news story was Mass Effect is gonna be was teasing something, but we just heard Mass Effect coming in 2021. The trilogy, all the single player DLC, enhanced shaders, better frame rate, resolution, all that stuff. Sure.
Yeah, I was talking about this with a friend of the podcast, Cheska, yesterday. Being like, I love Mass Effect. She also loves Mass Effect, but I don't know if I'm going to replay all those. Like, especially not just all like one at a time, but like I was thinking, like, what is something they could do to get me to play that? And I think if they changed some of it, if they kind of made better on the promise for 3, that would actually make me want to replay 1 and 2. Like if it was like, oh yeah, now we're incorporating a lot more of the decisions you actually made in a meaningful way, or like it actually has some agency over the ending which we've changed, or something like that. Like I would be interested in that. But if it's just straight up a remaster, I played those on PC. They already look pretty good. So.
Yeah, that's what this sounds like. It's just
good. I mean, I'd still be interested in playing them again, but I'm interested to see what they try to do with it.
Yeah,
I never played the DLC for 3, which is
Supposed to be
my
really
own.
I didn't
regret,
either, and I
but-
always really wanted to play the Citadel DLC.
yeah. Apparently, it's really good.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing but good things, but I got frustrated with the fact that the DLC never went on sale. So
I've also watched Alex Navarro play through Mass Effect 1 and 2 and at least part of 3 so far. I need to get back to watching the rest of Mass Alex. But yeah, so like I've already watched like that entire story kind of go through recently. So I don't know that I need more Mass Effect in my life right now. But hey, neat that it's going to be playable on all consoles, or at least on like the PS5. It'll be playable on the Xbox already, but you know,
if it comes to
better
Switch, that's pretty
versions.
good. I haven't seen if it's clarified that it's coming to Switch, but like that'd be a good place to play those games.
God, Mass Effect 3 ran like doo-doo on the consoles, at least on the PS3. It just like the frame rate was so bad. Like I forgot that it was so bad, and I was like, before Andromeda came out, I was like, oh, I'll revisit my save on 3. I was replaying it, like doing my Renegade run or whatever, and I was loaded into like the hangar on the Citadel, and I was like, oh no, this is like sub 20 FPS. This is, oh god.
That's rough.
Yeah, not great, but it's yeah, Mass Effect, good. Hopefully they put out a good version of this. It doesn't sound like they're going to be like changing much about 1, which is like probably the one that needs the most like hands-on stuff, just like mechanically for like the combat. But
I think 1 is fine. I mean, it's like
it's fine.
I mean, like, I think that the biggest thing that is frustrating are the Mako controls, which I mean have been memed about a million times, but I feel like I don't know. I never had an issue with the combat, so I
think 2 and 3 are like so much like tighter mechanically that it would just be, but you would have to rebalance the entire like experience to like change that combat, I think. So, but maybe they're doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I like. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to qualify this, but I think I might enjoy the first one the most out of the 3, just because I like the story the most. Like the whole thing with Saren and all that.
That's the thing is, like I really like all of the games, but I feel the least attached to the crew in 2.
Which is
personally,
weird, given that this whole story is the crew.
Right, but it's like I feel like it's I don't know. I feel.
You telling me Morden
he's great. He's
Gilbert
great. I mean,
and Sullivan just didn't like
that was a great moment.
you.
That moment was amazing.
I like
Scientist Solarium.
I like that was very good, and I liked the characters in 2. It was just like I feel like I don't know. I felt the least attached to it, and I play those games mostly for the story beats and the characters and hanging out with them. So
Yeah. And another piece of news just hit as we're talking.
No.
Quote from a GameSpot article. Many of us assumed that BioWare was going to announce a Mass Effect trilogy collection today during N7 Day, but we didn't expect this other piece of news. A new Mass Effect game is in development.
Okay.
yes, as the one person alive that is like likes to Andromeda.
Yeah. Details on the project are extremely scarce, but BioWare is working on the, quote, next chapter of the Mass Effect universe, and it will feature a, quote, veteran team from the company.
Okay.
Mass Effect Pop.
Yeah, and emphasis on veteran team, because one of the things that came out about Andromeda is that was one of their newest teams, and that's where a lot of the
that's probably, like,
animation jank came from, and writing jank.
yeah.
Well,
that
all,
makes sense.
Yeah. That game also suffered, it sounded like, from one of the things we talked about with Cyberpunk, where they fucked around for a long time coming up with stuff and went, oh, we need to put like a game out. And then also scrapped the entire thing. And thing Destiny did, where they scrapped the entire thing like a year before release and then had to rebuild basically the entire game in like a year, or like, you know, the narrative and like stuff like that. So, yeah. I, depending on what they do, I could be interested in another Mass Effect game.
Yeah,
I don't think they've poisoned the well so bad like some people.
I think the BioWare well has been poisoned quite a bit.
I think it's rough. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Anthem later, but at the same time, I had exactly zero interest in Anthem. But even though Andromeda, like, as somebody that liked it, it was janky. It was not, you know, the best game. It also, like, the first planet is the worst planet, so it like does not start on a good foot. Where you're just like, the start of the game is like by far the worst part of the game, so it just does not lead to people.
But the end was pretty bad.
The end was. I don't know.
I personally, I didn't play it, but I wasn't super interested in the main character. Also, that being a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I think that it's rough for BioWare, but I feel like people are still so excited about the original Mass Effect trilogy that I think people could come around on a new Mass Effect game.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think they just have to probably steer away from Andromeda.
Unfortunately, yeah. I'd like to see more of the characters in Andromeda, but I know that's not necessarily going to happen.
Yeah.
But
all I remember is PB.
Oh, right.
I
forgot about
There's
PB.
a Krogan. I don't remember the Krogan's name.
Jal was my boy. I love Jal, but
Wasn't there a Lady Turian also?
Probably. That sounds
now I don't
familiar.
even remember.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, I played it. I didn't think it was as terrible as a lot of people said, but I thought I was pretty disappointed by the story they told and like how they decided to do that narrative, because when they're like, we're going to a new galaxy, new, like a whole new place, I was like, oh, okay, we'll get new like alien species and new people, and there are two new like sentient alien species in that game, and one are your allies and one are bad guys, and then the rest is all just the rest is everyone you've seen before. Not even everyone you've seen before. It's like,
because there are still certain ships that were like they're like their justification is like, oh, there are certain ships
they got lost
on the way.
They haven't arrived. So that was
wasn't it like all of the whatever Tali's race, like they didn't show up because their ship was still on the way or something like that?
And like the Krogan were with them, I think.
What's their names? The mask people.
Why am I blanking on that name?
Oh no, we're gonna get messages about this, aren't we?
Oh my god, I feel bad because I love Tali too.
Yeah, no, me too. And it's like Tali's
one of my favorite characters.
Was it Quarian?
Yes,
Quarian.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
because there was the Geth that and the Geth and Quarian did not like
Geth
each
and
other.
Quarian. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Korean,
Turians,
Krogan.
yeah. I looked it up. Vetra Nyx is the name of your buddy in Mass Effect Andromeda, and she is indeed a Lady Turian.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah. So
Yeah, I liked the new I like the new species, what is it? Let me find it. The new species, where are you?
Angara.
Angara, yeah, I liked them a lot, and I thought that was I thought that was an interesting thing with having that kind of first contact type thing. But it would have been nice if there was more of that, for sure.
yeah, it was. It was gonna be hard to live up to expectations with that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like they really missed the mark on what that game could have
been. Oh, absolutely. I think that's exactly right. Where I think it's a fine game on its own, but when you compare it to the original Mass Effect trilogy, and when you compare it to what the game could be, it falls flat for sure.
Yeah.
It's like it's a game that, like, if it was just like released on its own, I think people would be like, oh, this is good. But like in comparison to all of those other things, it falls flat.
It was kind of a 1-2 punch, maybe even more than that, with people being down on Mass Effect 3, and then some people being down on Dragon Age Inquisition. Like, I thought it was good, but I thought it was good.
Inquisition is a weird ass game because I've tried to play it a million times and I've never finished it because I think the quest design is kind of bad. But
yeah, but like, so people weren't in love with Mass Effect 3 or Inquisition, and then Andromeda, and people are just like, is BioWare relevant anymore? And then you got the other one, which maybe we should talk about.
Which
so
Anthem.
Anthem.
Anthem, they're still secret wet work team, still plugging away at making Anthem a game people want to play in sometime in the future, probably on the PS5 or Xbox Series X or S. They put out an actual like substantive like post where they said, hey, here's what we've been working on, and like here's some like screenshots to prove it's not just all theory. Like, there's actual work being done. There's like a GIF, so there's some animation there too.
There's like a real GIF.
Yep.
So
I have not read what they put out. I don't have context for what the things they have changed are because I never played it. So what kind of stuff did they do to make it more appealing?
So let's see. Okay, you can change your equipment out in the world, which you could not do before.
What?
You had to like go back to the hub and like redo all your loadout if you wanted to change like your guns.
Okay.
Yeah, so you had to go back, and I believe, oh god, what was it? I don't have the list in front of me. They've changed the way that the different like sub weapons work, like in Power Up. I can't remember if they're doing away with like rarity on them and you're just upgrading them. I honestly, I didn't look super closely at it because like when they put it out, I'll check it out because I think Anthem was compelling. It just was too messy or like too unrefined. But I really liked playing what I played.
Yeah, I'm skimming through it now. It looks like they're adding like a bunch of skill tree stuff, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's making it look more and more like Destiny as someone looking in from the outside to both of those games, which, that's fine. Like that's a good blueprint to pull from because people like Destiny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'd be interesting if Anthem pulls a No Man's Sky or like a Rainbow Six Siege, where it's put out initially and not received very well, but they iterate on it and they make it better and they make it better to the point where it's what you want. Like that would be the ideal outcome, in my opinion.
That would be ideal. I don't know if possible. I mean, like, I think a big part of No Man's Sky doing that was that it had that really passionate indie team, you know, that really wanted to make, like, they had an idea in their mind for this game and they were going to make it. I mean, I'm sure that there are I know that there are people at EA that worked really, really hard on Anthem, but are there a lot of people that are just like really passionate about what Anthem could be?
I would hope that's what this team is.
Yeah.
And I would hope it would make people more passionate.
Yeah.
Like if
Because,
they
like,
put out a good thing, yeah.
they're really trying to like revamp the loot and like do a lot of stuff, and so it's hard to say what it's going to come out as, but at least it sounds like a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And it's nice to see that they are still trying to do something with it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. But this all still seems very early, so it's hard to say like, when is this going to come out?
Yeah.
Is it next year? Is it 2022, 2023? Like,
Yeah.
at that point, do you just have to say it's a new game? Like,
Right.
what do you do at that point? Because like,
Yeah.
No Man's Sky, was that like a year for like it to finally, it's like to them do that, for them to do that first update,
Yeah.
and get it to like where people are like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, they had to
and
deal.
then they kept iterating on that.
I feel bad for that team. They had to deal with so much bullshit. Like Sean Murray especially had to deal with so much hate.
They had
on
to deal with
Twitter.
so many people, like,
Well, also like their
horrible
studio
to them.
flooded, and
Oh yeah, totally.
God.
Like,
Oh
just-
yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
yeah, so like, even without all that like garbage, that's feel bad for like any game dev because they all get that bullshit. Call of Duty people get it, indie devs get it for no reason. It sucks. Stop being assholes to the devs who make
please.
these wonderful games that we all play.
Yeah, don't be assholes to devs. Like, I feel like you could say that about a whole lot of our news items every week, is because it's always true.
I mean,
Interesting.
If the devs are the assholes first, then that's
Within the
don't
past,
don't send people death threats though. Just don't.
Oh, never.
to-
Never.
to- Sorry, to pull us back, because it's the most relevant news we could talk about at the moment. Within the past
Oh.
30 seconds, BioWare has put up an official blog post, including a first look at the new Mass Effect. So I've sent that to our chat. If you scroll down, it looks like you can see that screenshot, and that is a very interesting and appealing screenshot that they've put there.
That looks
Legendary
very Star Wars.
edition.
That is that a binary star system? Like,
Wait, hold up. That is like giving me them Star Wars vibes.
yeah, no,
right?
that is incredibly Star Wars.
And I just looked, if you open up the thing, that is called a mud skipper. Like if you open up the
Okay.
file, if you look at the source, that is called a mud skipper. So maybe it's going to involve more No Man's Sky kind of stuff of like hopping planet to planet. In which case, that sounds fucking awesome.
That sounds
It's gonna be like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just skimming this article to see if we can pull out anything new.
It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it either. Yeah, that's cool. I will reserve a very small amount of enthusiasm about this.
tentatively excited
Yeah,
because
I'm hesitant, but willing to.
What if?
hesitant, but like
willing-
I love
willing
the
to love
original. I love Mass Effect a lot, so I really hope. Like I want to hope that it's good because
What if there's a baby Krogan? Move
Carry
over,
baby,
Yoda.
yeah, carry baby Rex with you.
okay, that sounds really good.
It just goes Shepherd.
Rex is a
Sure.
good. Rex is one of my favorite characters, so I will be excited about that.
Cure the genophage. Now you just it's just a daycare simulator. Just
Krogan daycare simulator.
Krogan daycare.
Oh
Just
man.
every day they're just like exponentially, your enrollment is just exponentially increasing. Oh no.
Not again.
I guess they
cue the
mature really quickly though, but
Yeah, like cue the Full House music and then.
yeah, everywhere you look.
There's
Too
a
many
Krog.
Krogans. Too many Krogans. Too many Krogans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect and Anthem.
BioWare.
BioWare. Come on, BioWare. We want to love again.
You can do it.
I want BioWare to pull through. I really love their games and would like them to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right.
Hot take.
Hot take. BioWare, old BioWare games good.
Jade,
More
Jade,
hot.
Jade Empire good.
Hot take. I want games to be good.
Hot take me too.
Public
I don't
service announcement. I guess as a PSA. Destiny 2, the original campaign is about to be removed. You have less than a week to get in there and play it. I think that's like around Thursday that's coming out. That's the Beyond Light expansion, which is going to remove a lot of content. A lot of it. It'll come back. Some of it will come back at some point, but it sounds like it's going to be rotated. I don't know what they're doing. Nobody really knows. I don't even think Bungie knows what they're doing. But they're like trying some new stuff and old content. A lot of the original Destiny 2 planets and zones and story are getting pulled out, and some new stuff is coming back in. They're probably it's not all gonna come in right away. It's probably gonna be rolled out over the next year as the seasons come. They'll be like, all right, new season, here's a new planet or something like that, new zone. So yeah, if you for some reason have not played the Destiny 2 campaign and really want to, the Red War, the base campaign, if you really want to do that, now's the time.
It was fun. It was the base campaign was fine. I mean, I played all of it and it was pretty good. So I don't know.
Better than the first game.
I just think it's kind of shitty to remove
I
all that
think
content.
I think it's kind of mediocre, to be honest. I mean, it's like it's really like a.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't saying the campaign is shitty. I think it's shitty that they're removing the content.
Oh yeah.
It's that there's no like a Destiny 2 classic server or something. You know how like WoW Classic now. And just like to hide all that stuff away from like a game preservation standpoint, they absolutely are like do not want people playing that content at all. Like they make it really weird and not like super clear how to play it, and don't service it. At least not when I last played it, which was like 5 months ago or whatever, the beginning of this season. But that got extended because of COVID, and Pat is just popping off in the chat. What has Pat got to say about
Talking about Mass Effect.
Yeah, still talking about Mass Effect. He said he would play it.
Yeah,
He
okay.
wants to replay the trilogy.
He's not like, I'm listening to the podcast and let's chat about Anthem or about Destiny.
Yeah.
But
So
anyways,
Well,
it is
up.
shitty that they're getting rid of.
Yeah, maybe it'll come back in some way, but I don't think so. Those areas will come back. I don't know if the Red War will come back.
they'll reopen the Bungie vault.
Like, yeah.
Default.
Next up, Gears Pop. Hey, it's the next thing. It's
I know, but you just say it. Just like the concept is funny.
Gears
And-
Pop. Yeah.
And then
And the reason it's on the news is because
they ruined Marcus Phoenix's fucking Funko Pops. No, it's just I just had the thought of Marcus Phoenix going, my fucking Funko Pops instead of my fucking tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Gears Pop is being shut down.
Yep.
Why anyone thought Gears Funko Pop, is it a gotcha game?
It's kind of like Clash Royale.
Okay. Which is kind of a gotcha game in a way.
Kind of.
Yeah, but why? This
That
one
was
never
always
made
a-
sense to me.
that was always a why. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Those
Funko Pops, love them or hate them, whatever. I just
Yeah.
don't think they would make a great game. Like it seems like they're kind of trying
They're
to be like,
trying to
they'll be
make it like a
like
thing.
like the Lego games, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna do our Lego-y, Funko-y Poppy take on these series. It's like maybe, but I don't know if Funko Pop.
Like
is
I
the
think
brand.
that could work.
Sure.
You have to cross promote, but the problem is you have the cross promotional. Like Funko Pop is just a bunch of different brands represented, so like getting everyone to be on board with that and do that is probably really difficult. But like if you did like a gotcha game with that was just here's a bunch of different Funko Pop stuff. If you did a Clash Royale type game, there's a bunch of different Funko Pop stuff that would probably do really unreasonably upsettingly well. Whereas Funko Pop Gears,
Yeah, and I think there is a
only
mobile
Gears of War. I don't think that's like the thing that's like that cross that Venn diagram.
yeah.
that intersection is very small.
Because like to me, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like Funko Pop seems like they're kind of wholesome, and Gears as
sort of. I mean, they have a lot of Funko Pops about like that are less
do.
wholesome characters, but
sure, but like yeah, that's true. Like they do come from some mature franchises, but like Funko Pops themselves seem like they're cutesy, they're that kind of thing. Like I if you're thinking Lego games, I wouldn't expect a Lego game from a mature franchise. Like I wouldn't expect.
Well, they won't do it. Like
I
they
know,
won't do
yeah,
like a Mortal Kombat.
Like you're not going to get Lego Requiem for a Dream or something. but like they do the family
Lego
stuff.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Lego American Psycho, but like Funko Pop holds a similar kind of cachet to me, where I would expect a game to be something more along those lines. So Gears naturally just feels like a weird fit. That's just me though.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
as somebody
100%.
that owns a bunch of Funko Pops, I don't necessarily buy them because I like Funko Pops. I buy them because, hey, there's no other way I can get a figure of this character, so I'm gonna buy that, and
Or a
it's a cheap
figure of this
figure.
character will cost me like $400.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is, I mean, there are certain ones where it's like, this is the only figure I can get of this character, like at all. So, you know, I'll get that. Or yeah, or it's really expensive. And these are like just cheap, like, hey, I'm at Target and there's a Funko Pop of, I don't know, of something. So I might go, okay, it's less than $10, so I can add it to my cart. But it's not like necessarily, I think that's most people's experience with it too. And so I don't really think there are many people that are like super attached to the branding of
Sure.
it.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
So this reminded me, because we're talking about figures, and it reminded me that just recently a Resident Evil 2 remake Claire Redfield statue was recently announced. I believe, and it is, God, the price, $1,349.
My God.
You can, speaking
Shipping
of,
in January to April 2022.
God. You can,
Wow.
fun fact about the game I was playing, you can buy a life-size figure of Ryza from Atelier Ryza, $25,000.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that has to be something like that they put in a shop in Japan or something.
Yeah, I think that they're like, they just need, I think they were doing it by pre-orders and saying like they needed at least 10 pre-orders to put it into production, but
At least
This-
10. Wow.
at least 10, which I think that they have
That's
like,
nuts.
you know, they know that most people aren't going to be,
That's a business.
That
That's
has to be a
That's like
business
an
thing, yeah.
arcade or like a Super Potato. Like that's
Sure.
a game store, not a. That is not a.
That's
or if you're like a hardcore
unless you're a
fan.
pervert.
I mean,
these
honestly,
Resident
that might
Evil-
be. People are like, one of the things I think is nice about, like, this is off topic. One of the things I think is nice about the Atelier series is that a lot of the times it doesn't go into fan servicey things, which is kind of admirable because all the main characters are young women. But Ryza is probably the most sexualized of the main characters, and I think in game it's not terrible, but people people like Ryza. So
Yeah. If you want a good kind of retrospective on that, I probably should have mentioned it earlier. Sorry. Valkyrie Aurora on YouTube does a really good.
I've watched those videos. Yeah.
She does a really good job of explaining like the starts of the Atelier series and like specifically how she's a lady playing those, and she's like, I feel like this is not sexualized, it's not gross, it's not
It
weird.
really does. It really isn't. And I mean, even in the game, there hasn't been anything gross. Like there's the mildest of jiggle physics, but like in a way that feels realistic. You know what I mean?
I have to rescind my statement. She has deleted everything on her channel because she was getting abuse.
No.
That is extremely sad. I didn't know
I think
that.
I was looking for her videos. I was like searching for the Atelier series, and I was like, why aren't her videos coming up? And that's why.
That's very
That
sad.
sucks, but
Yeah, that sucks big butt. She's awesome.
She is awesome. Yeah, but that is one of the things that I think is nice about the series, is that generally it's like not sexualized for having like young female protagonists up for every game. But at the same time, people like Ryza, and people find a way to be creepy about Ryza. So
I was looking at screenshots of the game, and there's definitely a mod scene for that game.
Oh no.
oh god.
No. So
No,
what's
thank
next?
you.
What's next on news, Andre?
Anyways.
Before we go down that hole.
Anyways, I'm not going to buy that large figure for Ryza.
No, you want to go down a hole? Well,
No.
I can.
Oh.
No, it's nothing that bad. At least not what I saw. But there's probably I didn't go deep on that thread. Anyway, Fortnite is coming
Yeah.
back to iOS, baby.
Yeah. The best
Just in
game.
time for Alex to get a new phone. Fortnite coming to
hey,
iOS.
You too?
You
You also?
They put that album on everyone's phone. That happened a while ago. If you use iTunes,
Ha 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 ha.
ha 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 ha. It's like if you make a new iTunes account, do they put that U2 album on there?
Probably a limited time deal.
Anyways,
Anyways.
no, it's not via the App Store. Don't go there. You got to sign up for GeForce Now, which apparently runs in Safari, and you can play Fortnite on an iPhone or iOS in a browser streaming. Okay.
Yeah, it's a roundabout way to get it
All
back,
right.
but sure.
If you're really attached to both having an iPhone and playing Fortnite on your iPhone, then that's a thing you can do.
We have a message from the chat on the Gaming Fix Twitch channel saying, quote, "That U2 album plays sometimes automatically when I plug my phone into my car." From Pat.
What album?
The
the
U2
U2 album. Yeah.
Oh. I thought you said YouTube album, and I was really confused. But
The YouTube album, yes.
yeah, the
I
album.
have not purchased a new phone yet.
Okay.
I am waiting for reviews.
Yep.
Waiting for. I actually need to double check my SIM card will work, because my
fair.
company is like, hey, if you want an iPhone SIM, you gotta say you want an iPhone SIM and not this other SIM. Like, yeah, it's a
Interesting.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, slight tangent. The reason I ordered an iPhone is because reviews are hitting Monday, so I will have time to cancel if
Yeah.
reviews turn out.
Are they
any
hitting
bad.
Monday? Oh, I thought they were
Yes.
hitting like Wednesday, because that's what they did on the other one.
I think I saw confirmed that they're hitting Monday.
Okay.
I could be
I
wrong,
mean,
but
like-
that's what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, the other phones have been out, so these are just a bigger and a smaller version of the other phones. And there's like some slight differences in the camera on the Pro Max, but
Oh my god,
yeah.
that is a nice figure, but that is really expensive. The Resident Evil
Yeah.
one.
55 centimeters. 58 for the
that's-
Leon.
Half a meter.
More than.
That's 5 centimeters more than half a meter. You're right. Anyways,
That is
next
nice,
news-
but
Yeah. I would gladly display that in my home, but I mean, I got this like Goku figure right here.
I've got a couple of Nendoroids coming, so
Same.
those are. I'm so excited for the Rena
Yeah, same.
Nendoroid.
Anyway,
Okay.
next story: Codemasters, creators of the Dirt series, Project Cars, right? No, that's a different team. What else does Codemasters do?
They, I think they also do the F1 games, don't they?
Oh yeah, that sounds right. A lot of driving games.
The driving games. That's what they do. They do
Yeah.
Grid.
They have been purchased by Take-Two, the publisher. You might know them as the publisher of, or they own Gearbox, right? They own Gearbox, or no?
they?
Gearbox
They
is
own-
its
they
own
own-
publishing.
they own
have some
Rockstar.
sort of partnership. Yeah, they own Rockstar. They do the bad wrestling games.
Yeah, they do. They put out things like BioShock.
Yeah, stuff like that. So hopefully this is like a good thing for Codemasters.
Yeah, it's interesting timing because they just put out Dirt 5, which has been getting some mixed reception on PC.
Yeah, console sounds like the current gen, as of now, current gen versions of. God, the Xbox launches in like 2 days in Japan, 3 days in America, but it's not. Whatever.
On the 10th.
So yeah, Codemasters. Yeah, that sounds like rough on the current gen, but probably on the next gen it's pretty sweet. I think so. As I think I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's better than the PC version. The story my friend was telling me is hilarious.
Sounds like having to alt tab till it's like in the right spot. No video settings.
Yeah. My friend was basically saying, there's no resolution settings, no video settings, so you can't change like, run it on high or medium or low. You can't do that. Can't change resolution. You can't run it in windowed or like it only runs in full screen. You can't change it to windowed. And sometimes when it runs in windowed, it just shows like the top left corner of it only. So you have to like alt tab back in and out until it centers itself. It's like, what? I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
It's hilarious, but it's a bummer.
Yeah, hopefully they get it figured out. I don't know how. Like, it seems like the PC should be like in like the console switch. It should be like, okay, we can get the PC version. It just works.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Yeah.
Next up, Sony, not one to sit on their laurels, saw that Microsoft bought Bethesda Game Works or Bethesda and its studios for like $7.5 billion or whatever. And Sony said, you want Skyrim? You want unlimited Skyrim on the Xbox? Well, we want unlimited anime.
Yes.
And bought Crunchyroll. Is this finalized? Is this for real happening? Okay.
It's for realsies. I think Crunchyroll used to be owned by AT&T or something, like one of the something like that. So yeah, I guess they gobbled it up. They also own Funimation, I think, right?
Oh, wow.
Which isn't great, like in terms of all your anime in one place. Sony should not have the anime monopoly.
Yeah.
Although,
there's a Funimation app on like the Xbox and stuff, right?
Oh, I'm not saying. I mean, I think there was a Funimation like demo or like a deal, or was it Crunchyroll with like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? Like there was a.
Yeah.
That seems right, but I can't remember.
Did either of you guys see the trailer for the new Crunchyroll original anime X-Arm, which launched yesterday?
I did see that.
It looks rough, man.
Yeah, it doesn't look the best.
So when I saw this piece of news show up, I'm like, oh, this is what Sony bought. Because it's Sony's like, I wonder if Sony saw that and was like, what the fuck did we just put our money down on? But
yeah, Crunchyroll is also weird. Anime outside of North America is weird. Andreas talked about this before. How licensing agreements, especially like being in Japan, you can't use Crunchyroll, or like Cheese, who's in the Philippines, can't really use Crunchyroll without a VPN. Like so,
which is wild. But
and it's,
I mean, like, I guess I get it, but it's also
I could watch it on TV here, but it doesn't have subtitles. So if I wanted to watch subtitled, I'm out of luck.
Or you just gotta learn Japanese.
Yes, that also. But what if you're hard of hearing?
True. That's very, very true.
Learning Japanese, but it's just a whole thing. It's annoying, and yeah, it's just any sort of like digital video DRM is fucking stupid. Like I own stuff on PlayStation Network that I can't watch because I'm physically in Japan, even though I own it. Like it's stupid. Like
It's
just
yeah. We'll see. Good for Crunchyroll.
yeah. Hopefully they don't say like we're gonna lay off a bunch of you now because we can just use the Funimation staff and combine these two combine these two services or
Hopefully,
something.
hopefully
hope
they can
not.
also pay Crunchyroll translators more because
Yeah.
they do not compensate their translators well enough.
That's the
Oh.
real anime experience.
There's a really, really good I have two thoughts. There's a really good YouTube video from Asian Boss, I think, which you can find, and it talks about the life of someone who works on anime.
Oh
Like, what
yeah,
it-
I've seen like a couple of videos about people who like make manga and stuff, and it's like it is rough.
Yeah,
You are
I'm-
working constantly.
So yeah, the
It's-
title of this video is quote underpaid and overworked being an animator in Japan.
Yeah.
Totally
I'll have to
100%
watch
recommend 100% recommend watching it. It sounds like it's very similar doing a translation job.
Yeah.
So
Not
watch that.
unlike
I'll-
a video game job.
I will link that. I will link that video in our description for this episode. It's really good. And the other one, and sorry for talking about piracy on our podcast, but Horrible Subs shut down a month ago, which is crazy because they were actually a really good group.
I know I mentioned this on my podcast, but I'll mention it again. It still boggles the mind that Crunchyroll is super legit now because when I was a
They were
teenager,
not.
that was like my piracy website of choice.
Yes, 100%.
And so now every time people talk about Crunchyroll, I'm like, wow, dang, okay, they've gone legit. But
All right, next source code for Watch Dogs Legion. I feel like I mentioned this before. Maybe it didn't come up on the podcast. The source code for Watch Dogs Legion was held ransom by some hackers. Then it was leaked, which is the most Watch Dogs thing possible. Source code is like 560 gigs.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. And yeah,
Curious how much of that is actually like assets, like audio and like models and textures and stuff like that,
Yeah.
versus how much of it is actually code. Because
Yeah.
like I'm intrigued. I almost kind of want to download the source code to take a look at like how all those systems are working, like the swapping characters and if there's like some procedurally generated stuff. Like that sounds kind of interesting, but
I wonder if this will mean like people can mod it now and like what kind of mods people can do. That'll be interesting to see.
there's no kind of multiplayer in it, right?
There will be.
Oh, there will be. Oof. Then yeah, having that source code out there is kind of rough. Because if it's purely
yeah.
single player, then whatever, who you're harming. But yeah, with multiplayer, that means they're probably going to have to change some pretty significant parts. That sucks.
Bummer. Apparently, Capcom has also been hit by ransomware, and hackers are holding about 1 terabyte of data hostage.
Yeah.
Japanese companies need to get their infosec tight. They need to tighten things up.
Yeah. That's hard. Because sometimes it can be just a really innocent way that happens. Like someone accidentally linking to like a database, or like alluding to where a database is hosted. Oh, we host our database on AWS. That's sometimes enough information for a hacker to be like, oh, I'm going to hit all of these potential endpoints with my scripts and see if I can't find a password. And once they get in, they're in. Like,
I'm in.
I'm in. Like they just need a little innocuous piece of information to just start launching attacks. And then the second they get there, yeah, they can do these ransomware kind of things, and it sucks. So,
I want to get us through these next few stories because butts. The new AMD
Sorry.
5000 series fucking
Sorry.
rips. according to Alex.
Back up for a second. Butts.
Butts. Yeah, that's butts. in a good way, kind of. The new AMD 5000 series are just kick ass.
Yeah, have you seen the benches for that thing?
The benchmarks are make me sad. I bought a CPU when I did. Not that
wild.
the 3600 I have is bad, but the 5600 X, which is their kind of lowest, the entry level one, I guess, beats out Intel's highest 10900K, which has like been the gaming performance king CPU for quite some time now, and Intel's always held like the gaming performance crown in their tier, but now they're just like, oh yeah, our cheapest processor is better than the most expensive Intel like consumer processor.
Like you can get up to the 10980 XE, but that's usually used for like overclockers and production and stuff. But like the fact that this thing that costs less than half the price in an area like AMD has never won on gaming, or not for like the past 10 years at least, has never been ahead. But now they just decimated everything except for one game, which is Red Dead Redemption 2. So like everything, like if you want the best gaming experience, get an AMD CPU, unless you play Red Dead Redemption 2. That's literally the one game where the difference there is any kind of difference.
And if you pair that with these new, I'm very interested to hear what these do with those new AMD cards, the Radeon cards, because
the shared memory.
like the shared memory, and like what is that going to mean for gaming performance?
Yeah,
and it's going to just make me very sad about my computer.
It's honestly, it is like, I don't mean this as an exaggeration. It is some of the most interesting stuff that's happened to PC gaming in probably over 10 years. Like,
and that's because it's a big shakeup.
Yeah, it's AMD fucking bringing it on two fronts, and they were like underdogs, but they are single-handedly bringing back competition to both this like the CPU, the processor side, and the graphics card side, which is
this is like in Dragon Ball in the Frieza saga when Goku fights the Ginyu Force, and then he's like, he wins and he's on top, but then he gets his ass kicked and he needs to like recover for like a long ass time while everyone else gets just decimated by Frieza. And then Goku comes back and he's just like, oh yeah. And Intel is Frieza and AMD is Goku. And Intel just needs to transform into the next form. And
I like how you're taking it to its logical extreme here. I was just going to let you continue till you fell all the way down the Dragon Ball hole.
Intel is going to cut itself in half and then come back to planet Earth. And then it's going to be a robot, part cyborg / alien emperor. And then Intel, not Intel. NVIDIA. They're all going to cut each other up with their graphics cards.
So I got to say, Intel, I don't know what they do right now. They're in a really precarious spot where their next CPUs are coming out in 2021, and it's looking like they're still potentially going to be behind the current Ryzens that just came out. So it's like
maybe on par.
Which it's like, I don't know if it's worth that value proposition. And Apple is no longer using Intel chips for their upcoming stuff. There's an Apple event on the 10th, and so that means they're going to lose that whole part of their market. So, because now Apple's making their own silicon. It's like, what's going to happen to Intel? Like, it's interesting that they went from the kings to potentially down in the dumpsters pretty within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's who knows. Hopefully they are able to pull back, just because getting more competition in this space is good. And if they're all like pushing each other, that'll be PC gaming will be like really exciting.
But
I wonder what those Intel GPUs are going to be like.
Oh, they're not going to be good, but they're going to be pretty low end, or like mid to low end. But
probably.
And I will say, I was lucky and fortunate enough to happen to bumble my way into a 3080 Founders Edition, because I was keeping an eye on like some stock-based discords and stuff like that where they send notifications out for as soon as stock hits, and I was like, oh, I happen to be online and looking at my screen when this happened, let's try it. Got one. Woo. Boy, the Ryzen, these Zen 3s, same thing. They were all like, AMD was like, yeah, we got plenty of stock, people are going to get these, no problem. Exact same issue as the 3000 series launch, like literally the exact same issue. Bots just gobbled them up, and then no one, like very few people have actually been able to get a hand on them. In like this, I found this buck wild, is you could keep an eye on stock that came up in Canada through our retailers. 3600 or 5600 reasonable stock, 5800 reasonable stock, 5900 and 5950X across the entire country. Some retailers had 3 like for the entire country, and it's like, what? That's insane. Like 3 maybe even like 0 in some retailers' cases. It's just nuts. So I feel like we're gonna see, like we kind of started seeing this with pre-orders for the Xbox and the PS5, where it's like getting in on those is hard. And I wonder what it's gonna be like next year too, with like any kind of technology launch. It seems like it's going crazy. So
yeah, it's I wonder if like the pandemic ending will slow stuff down or like make that stuff kind of okay. But like I have no delusions about getting a PS5 this year, even though I really want one.
Yeah. I'm at that point too.
yeah, but it's just technology.
Do you think so since you're kind of like in this between spot where like you're trying to buy a CPU, you've got like a computer unbuilt, you've got like your 3080 sitting there, are you like maybe you'll try and buy like a 68 or 6900?
I'm willing to
XT?
consider it once the benchmarks come
reviews
up. The only thing that I have a hang up is that I have a G-Sync monitor, so I'd be giving up that functionality.
Have they not like? I get does G-Sync? I know they changed some stuff. Does it not work with FreeSync? Like,
So
or does it have to be FreeSync? Like
Oh,
G-Sync
God.
can work on FreeSync, but FreeSync can't work on G-Sync.
So
that what it
there,
is?
I'm not going to get into all of this because we'll be here for an hour, and I know Allison does not give a single fuck about any of this. But like,
You're not wrong.
there for G-Sync and FreeSync, there's now like 5 different tiers of compatibility.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, there's G-Sync compatible, and then there's like G-Sync, and then there's like G-Sync Premium, and then like same for FreeSync. Like,
Yeah.
mine's old. Mine's from 2014.
Okay.
It's before they had that kind of interoperability, so it's a G-Sync
Okay.
monitor.
Okay. I've got one that does like FreeSync and G-Sync.
Yeah.
'Cause-
If I had one of those, I would be like, yeah, maybe let's check out one of these AMD cards. But the thing that still matters for those is the drivers, because AMD's drivers are historically it's coin toss as to whether they even work. So, anyways, let's get off of this, because otherwise Allison is going to just spontaneously combust, and I don't want to.
Well, we can talk. Good thing for Allison, we can talk about a story that relates to a game that I know she likes. Actually, all of us liked quite a bit.
Yeah,
Celeste.
Yeah.
absolutely.
The creator. What are they going by now?
Celeste
Or
Maddie.
No,
rather,
no,
sorry.
I mean Maddie. Okay. Oh, they're going by Maddie too now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Maddie, a creator of Celeste, wrote a blog post about how Madeline, the protagonist from Celeste, is canonically and definitively trans.
Yeah.
Which was some people had like theorized about because there was like a trans flag in like a image of their room.
Yeah.
Her, is that?
Yep.
Do they use pronouns in the game? Okay, her. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, and then also it's a very, very personal kind of story too. And
Yeah.
with the creator of the game, Maddie, transitioning, like there are definitely some theories and some people thinking about that, but they wrote an article basically detailing making the game and not knowing that they were trans while they made the game, or knowing that
when they started. Yeah.
Madeline was trans when making the game, but at the same time, like, you know, because it dealt with a lot of those kinds of gender feelings and gender, that it's kind of inexorably linked. But it was a really good post.
It's an extremely good read. I will also link that in the show notes. I think it's completely worth going through. One thing I really loved is her directly calling out, we didn't want to pull a J.K. Rowling,
Right?
which seemed like part we didn't want to go back and retroactively change the narrative on it, but it also seemed like a kind of tacit like fuck you J.K. Rowling.
Right, where it's like, we understand we don't want to be like, hey, let's get credit for this, but at the same time, since like it's really, you know, a lot of the story is really, really personal, and making Celeste really was a big part of like dealing with that for them. So it's just, yeah, it was a good read, and it was an interesting thing. So
yeah, like one of the things I really liked about it is they talked about like, oh, but are you going to explicitly call it out, or like is it explicitly called out in the Farewell DLC, which now I feel like I need to play. And like fans were talking about that, like speculating and all this stuff. And then she basically talked about like, you know, like as a person who was and somewhat still is a closeted trans person, like she didn't feel comfortable talking about that, like when people were poking her about it, and they were just like, they kind of treated the character with the same respect. It's worth reading. It's
right. And I think playing it, I mean, I know that I personally really connected with Celeste from a mental health perspective, but I think that a lot of people have really connected with it from a trans perspective as well. So I think that this is really, it was a really good read, and I think it was a really good discussion of what the game means to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think also one of the great things about Celeste is it works even like outside of that narrative. Like, it's relatable because like it's not explicitly a story about that, but it's so easily like translate to that. But you can, those sorts of feelings you can easily put on to like your own personal life, whether you know, if you're cis or gay or trans or whatever it is.
Like as a cis person, I really viewed a lot of it as dealing with depression, to be honest. And that's what that was. It was to get really personal. I started playing that right about round when I was getting more and more treatment for depression, and started taking my antidepressants and seeing my therapist more often. And it really, I really viewed it as being, you know, kind of a really important game for that time for me. But like the blog post says, it doesn't mean less that this, for a lot of people, that it was transness. And it's like also, you know, again, one of the first things that Maddie says in this article is, was Madeline's transness left intentionally vague in order to make her story more relatable to cis people? And immediately, that wasn't our intention. And thinking about it though, why couldn't a cis person relate to a trans person?
Yeah, and no, that was super relevant. And
modern trans struggle might be unique in its details, but it is definitely not alien to the human condition. So
agreed.
Yeah,
but, one thing that to kind of, I was also opening the article and taking a look. About halfway through, she talks about how, quote, trans people shouldn't be forced to publicly identify as trans in a world that is often hostile to them, and they shouldn't be reduced to their transness. They should be allowed to live their lives how they want, and everyone should be free to explore their gender identity without feeling pressure to place themselves into simplistic categories for the benefit of others. And that's
right. And also it's a lot of it is too, like, it's like they said, like it's messy. It's not necessarily super straightforward. I think that it's not just like, are you trans or are you not? I mean, that's true for a lot of people, but there's a lot of people that might shift towards different gender presentations over time, or think or identify as non-binary and then realize, no, I'm a trans man or something like that. Like it's not just, you don't just necessarily always wake up one day and go, oh, I'm a trans person. Like, and so like, I think that seems from what a lot of this development cycle, I think that's really reflected, because like Maddie didn't necessarily know that they were trans until, until the development was over, and was like starting, but kind of like gave them a hunch and they were working on it. And I think it's just, I think that's part of it too, is that it's like, it's not necessarily, oh, they're hiding something. It's maybe they don't know, or maybe they aren't really fully aware of it themselves. Yeah. So yeah,
it's a great article.
Totally it is really, really great. And I think that it's really important. And I'm so glad that, to recontextualize or re-examine Celeste, because I still really, really love that game.
Yeah, it's great.
If you have not played Celeste, it is on Xbox Game Pass.
Ooh.
Or you can probably get it for cheap on like Steam or PlayStation or Switch. So yeah, you should check out Celeste, because it's a good platform.
It is a great game, and I think that it's really. I think we've talked about this a lot, but it's like the one kind of masscore platformer that I've actually completed, because I think they do a good job with accessibility controls, but also in making it an accessible experience, even if it's difficult. Yeah. So.
All right. Our second to last news story. Miles Morales in the new Spider-Man game, which people say is good.
Yeah.
No sign language, and uses it in the game, which is neat. That just came up, I guess, because Allison is taking sign language class.
Yeah. Andre sent it to me yesterday. And I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was really, really neat. I've been taking sign language class for the past several weeks. And it's something I'm hopefully going to keep pursuing because I really like it. But I think it's neat to have that kind of representation of sign language, and then also speaking to presumably somebody who's deaf or hard of hearing in the game. So
not since The Quiet Man have we had such representation.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Forgot all about that.
The signing looked pretty accurate from what I could tell, but I'm also like extremely slow with my signing still. So it's like, I'm like, wait, hold on, stop. No.
Once again, please.
Like, real slow.
Can you slower and louder somehow?
Again, slowly.
with your mouth open and happier.
Yeah, I can do like, please sign again slowly. And
this is great for the podcast.
Allison was signing during this.
I think that's great. And I think more representation, especially if people, with like different, like people who are disabled or people who are blind or people who are deaf. I think that's really something that I think is missing in a lot of games. And I hope that we get a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm almost intrigued to play the Miles Morales game because it seems like there's been a lot of just interesting news, like little tidbits that have come out of it. Like there is this stuff, like the signing ASL kind of stuff, which is like, oh, they're thinking about ableism in a real world context, which is kind of, people don't do that, and they should. And then like there is a very explicit and really well done Black Lives Matter mural that's painted on a wall that you can find. And like for a big company like Insomniac and also Sony backing this, like to have that stuff in there is really nice. Like the fact that they're paying attention to it. So I'm intrigued to try it, even though if I don't really care about the Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, our last important news story. We've been sitting on this for minutes.
That's what the butts was about?
No, not about sitting on it, but like I just got to get through the rest of this so I can say, finally, definitively, Donald Trump, eat my ass.
Oh
You
god.
jobless motherfucker. Joe Biden has won the election as projected by the Associated Press and multiple outlets reporting, with Pennsylvania winning. That puts him at 273 electoral votes, which is what he needs to win and become the next
God.
president.
Thank God.
Joe Biden, you can get in line and eat my ass next, but first, this is
I think one of the things I was mentioning a while ago on Twitter was like, this is absolutely a first step and work isn't done, but I think that we can also take a moment to celebrate that
Yes.
we're kicking Trump to the curb. And
Thankfully.
to quote a tweet from Shane from BuzzFeed, who I follow on Twitter.
Okay.
One reason this kicks ass is that Donald Trump fucking sucks, and I think we can all stand by that.
I just watching him suffer. Like, I'm glad he didn't die from COVID just so we could suffer through this.
Yeah, fair enough. Chris Edgerton sends a message from the chat saying Betsy DeVoe gone to fuck her.
Yes.
Oh, fuck her! Yeah. Oh, I hate her so much. Oh.
That whole cabinet, that whole administration, just into the sun.
Yeah. So that is finally a breath of relief that a lot of people
Yeah.
can breathe.
Everybody thanks Stacey Abrams, who did a lot of
Yes.
wonderful work. I want to just send
Across
her
the country, not just in Georgia, but in other states.
across the country, Georgia specifically, but also for a lot of get out the vote efforts, especially in places
she
like
helped
Wisconsin.
a lot of states do their voter registration and get that going well.
Yeah, so I think that, recognize the efforts of a lot of people like that too, who put a ton of work into getting this result and making some good work. And I just want to can I just Venmo Stacey Abrams some cash for funny money to just do whatever she wants.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's great news. Dogs can be in the White House again because Joe Biden has dogs. I guess now we keep an eye on Senate, but no matter the case, this is big news.
Right.
Yeah.
Work's not done, but today is a good day to celebrate.
As a orc in Warcraft 3 might say, job's done. But no, it isn't, because I'm going to put you right back to work.
God.
You not done.
Thanks for keeping it relevant to our podcast topic, Andre.
Yep. Job's done. And with that, we can finish this episode of the Gaming Fix podcast on episode 146, November 7th, 2020. I've been your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite popsicle. You can find the podcast on your podcast platform of choice, but you probably know that. You're listening to us already. Maybe you're streaming, maybe you're on YouTube. I don't know what you're doing.
Live your life.
Podcast platform of choice. Find us, subscribe, leave us a review on if your platform of choice offers such a thing. If not, head over to podchaser.com/gamingfix. Leave us a review there. We'd really appreciate it. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/fixpodcasts or on Facebook. Don't go to Facebook. Don't go to Twitch. That's the one I was trying to say. Twitch.com/fixpodcasts. Is there probably something else I'm forgetting? I don't even know. You can find me, Andre, on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Allison, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY.
And Alex.
What do you guys think of drumsticks? Like the ice cream drumsticks?
Those are very good. Those might be one of my favorites.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a popsicle. It's not a popsicle, but I like them.
Honestly, I like a drumstick more than a popsicle.
Yeah, me too. Like they're pretty good ice cream. You got the crunchy waffle cone, and then at the bottom you got the little tuba of milk
A little bit of
chocolate.
chocolate.
Yeah, little treat at the end.
Also, to quote Seth Rogen on Twitter, they just did this shit on Saturday so we could get fucked up. So
my only regret is they did it before Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
That's
So
true.
Yeah.
they should have done it tomorrow, just so like Saturday Night Live can't
Ruin
but
it.
whatever. I mean, they're gonna have to come up with something real quick.
They're gonna be like, "Oh shit, what are we doing?"
Donald
Can-
Trump singing Hallelujah.
Sorry, I have one more quote from Twitter
Okay.
from one Ashley O.
Yeah.
Quote, Brooklyn is on fire right now, and I am having a celebratory glass of wine before noon in honor of the Great Orange Purge of 2020.
Oompa
great way to put it.
loompa doompity fuck you.
Yeah.
Stay wet, gamers. I know I will be as Donald Trump eats my ass.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
It's just you and I now. Stream. The recordings have stopped. I don't have anything profound to say. Have a good day. Have a good Saturday. Be well. Watch Pat. Pat kicks ass.